Strawbridge Elementary School students, it's Mrs. Graybill again. I am back to talk to you about a new featured creature. So let's review all the ones we've done so far. We have talked about the lion. Some lion came and bit my picture, I guess. The California condor, the humpback whale, the chipmunk, the bear, the golden tortoise beetle. We talked about the earth, and we talked about the megalosaurus. So today I have a new featured creature for you, except this time it is a living thing, but it isn't an animal or a plant. It grows in wet areas in places like yards, forests, fields, and gardens. This featured creature helps take care of the earth by recycling dead plants, and they turn dead plants into really rich soil. This creature doesn't grow from a seed or hatch from an egg, but it grows from spores. Does anyone have any idea what this featured creature might be, or who this featured creature might be? All right, it is a mushroom. So I have this little song for you about the mushroom. Mushroom, mushroom on the ground, nature's helper, short and round. Mushroom, mushroom on the ground, come to Strawbridge Elementary. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to teach you the American Sign Language sign for mushroom. So you take your non-dominant hand, which means the hand that you do not write with. For me, that's my left. And I make the stalk of a mushroom. And then I'm going to take my dominant hand and I'm going to put the cap on top of the mushroom. So if you want to use the word or say the word mushroom to someone who is deaf or hard of hearing, you use your non-dominant hand and then you use your hand that you write with to make the cap. Mushroom. Mushroom. Awesome. So I'm going to give you some facts about the mushroom. Mushrooms make millions of tiny particles called spores. When a mushroom releases its spores, the spores land on the ground and make more mushrooms. So it's very similar to the dandelion, you know, the one that you make a wish. There's all those white spores, you blow it, and then all the dandelions spread. That's how spores work. Let's get down close to the ground and curl up in a ball. So if you're allowed to, if your teacher will let you, you can get down close to the ground and you can pretend like you're a spore. And then once you're super, super tiny, you can grow slowly until you become a mushroom. So if you want to do that, you can. So get really close to the ground or just stay in your seat and get really close to the ground and then grow into a mushroom. That's how it works. All right. Let me see here. Okay, some additional mushroom facts. Mushrooms are a fungus, and unlike plants, mushrooms do not require sunlight to make energy for themselves. So that's very unique about the mushroom. Almost all plants need sunlight, but mushrooms do not. So they can grow in dark, damp places like caves or like in the shade or things like that. In the really deep, dark forest where there's not a lot of sunlight because there's so much tree coverage. Have you ever seen a mushroom grow in the wild? What you cannot see is the underground network of mycelium that scavenges, I'm losing my place here, the soil for food. The mushroom is the fruit part of the mycelium that pops up above the surface. Before the invention of synthetic dyes, mushrooms were widely used for dyeing wool and other natural fibers, that kind of earthy brown color. Amazingly, there are over 75 species of mushrooms which actually glow in the dark. The phenomenon is caused by a chemical reaction called bioluminescence. So there are some mushrooms that are fine to eat, and then there are other mushrooms that are not fine to eat. Let me just clarify here. So there are 75 species of mushrooms that glow in the dark. There are more species of mushrooms than just 75, but there are 75 that glow in the dark, and they use the phenomenon bioluminescence, which means glowing. So there are tons and tons and tons of different species of mushrooms. There are some you can eat, and there are some that are poisonous that could kill you. So you have to be careful. Obviously, the ones in the grocery stores are a-okay to eat, but I would never pick up a mushroom out in the yard or somewhere that you find it and just eat it. That would not be safe. Okay, so I'm gonna switch gears here. This is my last featured creature for this season. Hopefully in the winter I can come back to you with more videos if that's okay with your teachers. But that was all for the fall. So I'm gonna finish up. This has nothing to do with mushrooms. It's just a good book. It's called Animal Homes. Okay, so we talked a lot about animals this season, this fall, but I'm going to quickly read to you this book called Animal Homes. And I won't read everything in the book because there's lots and lots of details, lots of captions and lots of labels, but we're just going to focus on the kind of the big parts of the book, the main ideas, if you will. As night falls, you can go indoors where it's sunny and dry and snuggle down in bed. But where do animals make their homes? Bats swoop, catching moths and other bugs. During the day, they sleep hanging upside down by their feet in old barns or in holes in trees. Can you see that? Wow. Ducks build their nests lined with feathers. We had a duck nest in our backyard this spring, and it was very cool. There was, I think, 12 eggs, and all 12 ducks made it. Chicks sleep cuddled up close to their mother. They're very good at hiding. They hide in the most kind of like obvious. Their nests are very close to your house sometimes, and they're in like really like close places that you'd think like they wouldn't be safe, but they're really good at camouflaging and at hiding. That's amazing. Some creatures live most of their lives in ponds. Frogs hop their way to ponds to lay eggs. Tiny tadpoles hatch out of the eggs and grow into big frogs. Barn owls hunt for mice and voles to feed their chicks. Their name comes from the habit of nesting inside barns and other buildings. Up high, down low. Some animals live up high to keep safe or hide underneath fallen trees. See who's living in this dark oak tree. Lots of birds build nests for their chicks. The newly hatched chicks stay in their nests until they can learn to fly. Herons build huge flat nests in the tops of trees. Baltimore orioles weave amazing hanging nests from grass. A little hung up here. Jays collect twigs, grass, and moss to make their cup-shaped nests. They sit on the nest to keep their eggs warm. The chicks hatch out. The parents feed them tasty bugs and nuts. Cuckoos have a different idea. A cuckoo lays an egg in another bird's nest. The chick hatches and pushes pushes out the other eggs. The parents feed the cuckoo thinking it's their own chick. Well, that's a good trick. Squirrels weave strips of bark, twigs, and leaves into tight bundles. Babies called kits are born inside. The bundle is lined with moss and grass. What's this? You all know what this is. It's a wasp nest. A queen paper wasp chews up wood to make paper. She spits out the paper to build little cells and lays eggs inside of them. Young wasps hatch out. The queen feeds them chewed up insects. The babies grow into adults and help to make the nest bigger. Sometimes trees die and fall to the ground. Lots of creatures live in soggy, crumbly wood. If you come across a log and you pull the crumbly wood away, you often see lots and lots of little critters in there just waiting to come out, I guess. That's where they're living, but they're kind of just hanging out in there. Bugs love to eat the damp, dark, soft wood. Wolf spiders hunt the bugs that eat on the wood. This is an earwig. This is a snail. This is a millipede. This is a stag beetle. This is a young beetle grub. So lots and lots of things you might see inside wood. Under the sea. In warm, shallow sea, thousands of creatures live just below the surface in a sheltered coral reef. Let's open it up and check out inside this coral reef. Seahorses wrap their tails around coral to stop themselves from floating away. Parrotfish use their big teeth to rip off bits of coral and eat them. A young bottlenose dolphin spots a cuttlefish swimming past. The cuttlefish quickly hides by changing the pattern on its body to match the coral. Wow, camouflage even in the ocean. Riverside homes. In and around a gently floating river, animals are busy making homes. Who lives in here? A muskrat and her babies. Kingfishers dig burrows into muddy riverbanks. This is a kingfisher here. A kingfisher dives into the river to catch fish. Fish, splash. She takes it back to her burrow to feed her hungry chicks. Brown trout live in the river. They jump out to gulp down mosquitoes. Young mosquitoes are strange, wriggly creatures that live in the water. When they're 10 days old, their skin splits. Adult mosquitoes climb out and fly away. Beavers pile up mud and sticks around a fallen tree to make a dam across the river. The dam stops the river flowing, and a quiet, deep pool collects behind it. Beavers make a home called a lodge in the pool from mud and sticks. Bug homes. Bees, ants, and termites build all sorts of homes to live in, from huge, busy, buzzing colonies to tiny homes in shells and nuts. Hundreds of honeybees live in big man-made nests called hives. Honeybees visit flowers to feed on a sweet liquid inside them called nectar and a powder called pollen. They feed this to young bees. Bees grow up inside cells in the nest. The big queen bee is the mother of all the bees in the hive. These ants are fungus farmers. Leafcutter ants grow a fungus inside their nests that they feed to the young ants. They chew up leaves and carry them down into their tunnels, then push them into the fungus. The fungus grows bigger by feeding on the leaves. Wood ants build their nests in old, rotten stumps. They pile up fallen pine needles to make a waterproof covering and dig tunnels into the soft wood. What's in this acorn? Tiny acorn ants. They build nests inside hollow nuts and twigs. Cold homes. In a cold, cold winter in the Arctic, the ground is covered in ice and snow and nothing much grows. Creatures living here have to find ways to keep warm. Arctic hares dig burrows into the snow and shelter from bad weather. Harp seals don't really have a home. They spend most of their time in the freezing Arctic Ocean hunting for fish. A thick, blubbery layer of fat covering their body keeps them warm. Arctic foxes roam around the ice hunting for food. In a snowstorm, they dig down into the snow and wrap their warm, thick, fluffy tails around their bodies. And hot homes. Rocky caves. Let's see if I can pull this guy up. Rocky caves are the perfect place to shelter from sweltering heat. Mexican long-nosed bats roost here. They fly out to feed from desert flowers when it gets dark. Pecanaries sleep together in groups. Some animals dig down into the cool earth during the day and come out to find food at night. Desert hairy scorpion, kangaroo rat, a huge lizard called the Gila monster, desert fox cubs, and tarantulas. I have about 1 minute, so I gotta finish up here. Deep, dark homes. Lots of animals make their homes in deep under the ground. Let's just pick one of these animals. Let's see. So we talked a little bit about how animals burrow. Okay, so let's see. Badgers sleep in burrows called setts during the day and come out to hunt at night. They leave their dung in a pit near the set. They slurp down up to 200 worms each night. Badgers are super clean. This badger is taking out his dirty bedding, then bringing in fresh, clean grass to sleep on. Almost done. Homes inside a house. Hundreds of creatures share people's homes with them, and some are wide awake while other people are fast asleep. Cockroaches sometimes scuttle around eating anything off your kitchen floor. Ugh, I hope not in my house. They also eat skin, books, and even hair. Each one can lay up to 150 eggs on our clothes. Fat white caterpillars hatch out and munch on silk or wool. They spin a fabric case around their bodies. 10 days later, the case breaks open and a new moth crawls out. Strange animal homes. Let's just read one of these. Tiny Honduran white bats make homes from folded banana leaves. How about that? We'll read one more. Bell spiders build round underwater webs to live in. They eat passing water creatures. You guys, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your fall time in your classroom. I really appreciate it. I've loved every second, and I hope you've learned something along the way. Maybe I'll see you again in the winter, and if not, keep learning, keep reading, keep playing outside, keep learning as much as you can about nature because it's really cool. Talk to you later. Bye, guys.